Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and we welcome you to the January forum of MPlus Monthly Forums sessions, and we are conducting separate different topics from each month as a monthly forum organized by the MPlus team together with the assistant with University of the Engineering Student Union of University of Peradeniya and the MPlus project group and most of the alumni from the universities of Sri Lanka. Today's session is quite a special one, and most of the people who are students who are seeking for higher studies and their research journeys, we are having a panel of expertise with experience as well as those who are engaged right now. So they will share their experiences that will be helpful for you. And this will not be a simple presentation. There will be a discussion afterwards. At the same time, this is an initialization of the discussion so that you can reach out to those professionals, even one-to-one basis, or you can put your questions, clarifications, or you have any comments or opinions to this chat group or in our WhatsApp groups so that we can start our discussion. So this will be a simple starting of those discussions. At the same time, maybe you will be looking for higher studies, or you are trying to expand your career with higher studies in parallelly with I have a dog around. I apologize. And for the upcoming sessions, what we have here today, it will be around 1.5 hours session. The session's content will be the presentations by 3 professionals in a row, starting from Professor Upakka, then followed by Dr. Sulochana, and then Dr. Dulip. Then we open the forum for the Q&A sessions, where you can raise your questions through Zoom platform itself by putting this hand raise option in reaction. So we'll give you the opportunities on first in, first serve basis. At the same time, these discussions will be recorded in YouTube, so you can have the access at any time. And we have a YouTube live streaming goes on right now. Without wasting much of time, let me introduce our 3 panelists today, starting with Professor Upakka. He will conduct a small presentation with his experience sharing, and then we will move to the next panelist, and then for the 3rd panelist. So whatever the questions you have to ask from Professor Upakka, you can put into a chat box, or else you can send it via WhatsApp to us. And all 3 panelists will be put into the same screen after finishing our core sessions by 3 of them. To start with Professor Upakka and Dulip and Sulochana, I can proudly say that both of 3 of them are from my own batch, which is 2001 batch of Faculty of Engineering, University of Peradeniya. And Professor Upakka, technically he's a professor of civil engineering. He works for Atlantic Technological University, Ireland, and he holds his PhD from Scotland. And he completed his bachelor's from University of Peradeniya, as I mentioned earlier, and he got a number of awards and a master from Hokkaido University, Japan. And he's interested in researching water resource management with the aid of multi-object optimization and artificial intelligence. At the moment, he has 38 research. I should highlight 38 research students and won many research awards and grants. Without wasting much of time, let's move to our first panelist, Professor Upakka. The screen is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Nalin. Good to see you all. I'll try to share my screen first. Hope it's visible now. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, try.
Yeah, now it's all good. Yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, all good. Okay. So thanks a lot for the detailed introduction. Just I'll try to stick into the time, and also this presentation is neither to let you down or to insult anyone, that I must tell, but to give you some idea about the real world scenarios. So I'm going to talk a bit about hiring a PhD candidate. So to do that, I'll select one of the recent case which we had. So we had a project, fully funded project. It's about the scientific analysis of proposed Setu Samudram shipping channel, a project India and Sri Lanka. So two universities, that is, one is University of Central Lancashire in the United Kingdom and Atlantic Technological University Ireland. We put a research proposal and we won the grant. And so we wanted to hire a PhD student to do that. So it was advertised. Probably you have seen it via jobs.ac.uk or findaphd.com. I'm giving these links for you because so that when you come to your further investigation about higher studies, so you can use those links. That's why I'm giving. So the idea was we advertised it on 12th October 2023, very recent one, and we said we are going to close it on 12th December. So we gave just 2 months time to apply for this particular project. Now, then if you look at the things, we got 132 applications within 2 months. So please note those things. See, just for the 2 months, we got 132 applications for a single PhD position. So you'll see the competition which we are looking at. Then the first screening, second screening, they were done by the HR department in the UCLan, University of Central Lancashire University. So the first screening, they used the basic, based on the basic qualifications. They reduced the 132 applicants just to 17 applicants. When it is, I probably Dulit would tell this one in detail. When it comes to the PhD applications in the UK or Ireland, we don't take any processing fees, application processing fees, so that many people apply. But when it comes to the states and some other countries, they take some a processing fee, application processing fee. The number of applications may not be that much high because you have to pay $150 for that. But we got 132 applications within 2 months, and it was reduced to 17 applicants for the first screening. Then the second screening was done again by the HR department and some other panel. So the criteria which they used was, it's based on the geological features, because we thought that to hire a PhD student from the Setu Samudram to Setu Samudram project, we believe someone should be knowing the background. So we thought Indians and Sri Lankans are better for that, because the shipping channel is just right in between the two countries. So further, second screening has gone, and it was reduced to 9 applicants. So 132 at stage 1 reduced to 17 applicants. Then it was reduced to 9 applicants. So after that, the first 4 rankers were sent to us for the interview. So the interview was held on 19th January, just say a week ago. So that was the plan. Now, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take this interview, real interview process, and then to explain what I am expecting from a PhD student if I want to hire a PhD candidate. So that's what I'm trying to do, so that I believe you would understand some attributes which we are looking at. So let me introduce the interview board. I'm not allowed to tell their names other than the supervisor panel. So chair of the interview panel was held by a senior professor in University of Central Lancashire. So he has supervised more than 40 PhD students. So he's a chair professor of coastal engineering. Then myself, let me take the pointer probably. Okay, so then myself was there as the primary supervisor. I'm bringing myself from the side of Atlantic Technological University. Then we had the other supervisor, that was Komali Kanthameni. She's originally from India itself, but she's working to University of Central Lancashire. So we both put the funding application and we won it. Then we had another panel member. Now, interesting panel member. So that was another professor who is the director of United Nations Spider Program. So he brought some, real world diplomatic issues to the problem. That's why he's here in the interview panel. Finally, we had another professor from University of Central Lancashire, and she was the director for graduate studies in the university. So that was the panel which we had to interview these 4 anchors. So we thought that we are only interviewing like only 4 candidates to select one. So look at the competition again. I'm stressing that point. 132 reduced to 17, reduced to 9, and we only took 4 applicants to be interviewed, to select one out of them. Okay, now let me tell a bit about these first 4 rankers. So they were ranked not by us. I'm stressing that point as well. They were ranked by the HR department of University of Central Lancashire. And these are the ranks they have given. These are the ranks they have given. So one student, not really a student candidate, he's from University of Peradeniya, Faculty of Engineering, done civil engineering with a first-class degree. And then the second ranker was from IIT. I'm not telling the proper university. He's from IIT. You know, when I say IIT, it is these universities are ranked at top 100 in the world in QS ranking and so on. So he was from IIT, and he did his bachelor's and he got a first class from geography. Then, without stopping that, he did his master's as well, again a first class degree from geography. Then the third applicant was, surprising, is from SLTC, that is called the Sri Lankan Technological Campus and so on. And he got a bachelor's of civil engineering degree with a second upper class. Okay, the fourth one was from NIT. These are the second layer universities in India. You have IITs, then you have NITs, National Institute of Technologies. So this particular person got a bachelor's degree in geography and with a first class honors degree. So I'm just giving some important features. Again, going back to the candidate who applied from University of Peradeniya, and that particular person hasn't got any research papers. Okay, any research papers. By looking at the IIT candidate, he got 1 indexed journal papers. Probably you may have an idea about the indexing of these things like journal papers and so on. So in indexing, you are looking at either Scopus index or SCI index. So when you come to the research world, you will probably know them. If needs, I can explain these things later in another session or so on. But the student or the candidate from SLTZ, he got 2 index journal papers, and he said he is working on another 2 research. By looking at the person from NIT, the ranked 4th one, that particular person hasn't got any index journals, but 2 international conference papers based on the research work what they have done. Now, these people, all of these were graduates, and they were working for. If I look at the University of Peradeniya one, he was working for several years. Okay, in some industry or as a capacity in a university. So and they have the access. All of them have access to research work. So that's about bit about these 4 rankers. Then we headed to the interviews and so on. Now, I would like to give you some idea about the interview, like the questions which we raised. So just to give you some idea. So we first asked them to introduce themselves. So why did we do that? We wanted to know how well you present about yourself. So we wanted to know that particular aspect from the candidates. Then we looked at theoretical things, but we didn't ask like technical stuff. We didn't ask any theoretical questions. We just asked, have you studied coastal engineering? Are you okay with sediment transport? Are you okay with GIS, geographical information system? Then how about your programming knowledge? That's what we asked. We didn't go into any, if the candidate said that I'm okay with coastal engineering, we haven't asked anything about coastal engineering. How does it happen and so on. But we just generally asked, are you okay with these, technical stuff? Why? Because we wanted to understand whether you are solid on technical attributes. Then we went to the research experience. So we asked them to talk a bit about your papers, your research work, and so on. So why did we ask that particular thing? We wanted to understand whether you have any scientific writing skills. When someone says that I'm authored a research paper, then we simply ask, okay, what is your author sequence? Were you the first author? If that is the case, we ask, please explain what you have done. So if you have written something, that means we know that it is accepted by someone else, specifically in journals. So you have some writing skills. So that's why we asked that particular question. Then we looked about the communication skills, which is very important today, because you need to disseminate your research findings and so on when it comes to your higher studies or postgraduate studies. So we looked at, how well you present yourself. Like, do you have good presentation skills? Finally, we check the attitude. Attitude in the sense, whether you're eager to learn. Now, why we have asked that particular question? Because are you ready to take 3+ years PhD challenge? I'm sure Dilip and Sulochana would tell you it's not an easy task. Sacrificing everything for a research for 3+ years is not an easy task, guys. So we wanted to look at the attitude which you put by yourself. So these are the interview questions which we had, and I would like to showcase their performance with respect to these questions. Let me go with them. So the student or the candidate from University of Peradeniya, we found out that he's technically superb. Okay, IIT guy, he's not the best because he hasn't done coastal engineering, but he has done geography. So he was okay with GIS and probably sediment transport. But one thing which was lacking at University of Peradeniya guy, he didn't have much experience about programming, but we thought that he can catch up. He can definitely catch up. Then the SLTC guy, he was technically solid because he has learn these coastal engineering, sediment transport with some programming. He was able to do it with programming. NIT India guy, again, somewhat similar to IIT guy because they both have done geography for their bachelors, which we were not really interested. Then we went to the research. Now, we have some numerical values for these things, but I'm not going to present the numerical values. I'm just putting the stars to represent the numerical values. So the research-wise, Peradeniya candidate, he couldn't speak anything about that. But the IIT one, he was okay. He was okay. He authored one index journal paper. SLTC guy, superb. I would say he was superb in research expression. So he talked about his research work explicitly. Then about the NIT guy, kind of okay. He had two conference papers and will explain the things and so on. Then we looked at the communication. Communication-wise, we felt the Peradeniya guy is not the best. So I'm giving you some points. Okay, giving you some points. IIT India guy, he was excellent in communication. He was literally saying that, hire me. So the communication from SLT guy was good. And I would say it's better. And NIT was okay. Now, when we look at the attitude itself, we found the Peradeniya's candidate has some issues with the attitude, which I'm going to explain them a little later. IIT guy, yes, he had some attitude problems because of the money issues. He was so looking at the money, even though we told that this was a fully funded PhD, he was asking whether you have enough money and so on. So the attitude was not really there for a PhD. That's what the panel thought. SLTC candidate, superb in attitude, and NIT student or the candidate, superb in attitude. So with those explanations, we wanted to finalize the things, and we did that. That's the final ranking. It's not from my side. It's not from my side. Okay, it's a collaborative decision by the 5 panel members, including the final decision was from the chair of the interview. Ranked one was the SLTC candidate, the student or the candidate from SLTC. So unfortunately, UOP, University of Peradeniya candidate was not selected. NIT one was not selected. The rank 1 guy from SLTC, the offer letter sent after 1 hour of the interview, and he accepted it within 5 minutes. Okay. So rank 2 was, surprisingly, the candidate from NIT. So we kept her to the next project, which is due on funding. Hopefully, we'll be getting funding for that particular project within another couple of months. And we told her that, stay with us. We are going to hire you in another 2 to 3 months' time. So I'm going to talk about the scholarship now. It fully tuition paid one for 3.5 years. And then you have a tax-free salary of 18,622 pounds, UK pounds for annum. Then you have 15,000 pounds for research budget. On top of that, you have another 15,000 pounds for your transportation for Sri Lanka and India. You will be going to Sri Lanka, India for a number of times and doing some ground experiments and so on. So that was the PhD scholarship which was awarded. Now, I felt little something to the Peradeniya candidate itself. So let me give you what went wrong for this particular candidate. These were not my comment. So overestimation. Special comment by one of the panel members. Please let me know if I'm exceeding the time. I will try to finish it as soon as possible. So special comment by one of the panel members. This particular candidate act like he already has a PhD. So he didn't have any research experience even after 1 year graduation. Poor attitudes. Like we felt that he wanted to finish the interview soon. and poor communication skills. He had IELTS scores as well, but doesn't know how to present him well. What went good with the SLTC guy? He was technically solid, excellent research experience, one paper as the first author and another paper as the co-author. Good attitudes, and very good attitudes. And the communication, there was no panic in talking. Good body language and presentation and so on. So what I wanted to tell you, using this particular real world scenario, which was happened a week ago, getting a PhD call is not an easy task. So prepare yourself for it after your bachelor's studies. Okay, Nalin, I was trying to be in 15 minutes, but I couldn't, finish it, but I tried my very best.
No problem. I had my buffer timing, so that's why I just put it for that.
Okay, let me
right, and we'll take Dr. Sulochana on screen. Pasinda, we can have her spotlight. Let me quickly go to our next second panelist without wasting much of a time. Then we can move to Dr. Sulochana. He's a senior lecturer currently works in the Department of Computer Sciences and in University, leader of the Intelligence Lab, specialized in robotics, IoT, and computer vision, based industrial research and product prototyping. She also serves as the director for the engineering research unit of university that organizes MERCON, one of the flagship international engineering research conference hosted in this country. Dr. Sulochana is also a student counselor in the university with a diploma level qualification from Faculty of Medicine, University of Sri Jayawardenepura. Sulochana, the screen is yours.
Hello.
You're muted, Sulochana. Yeah, can hear.
Yeah, I hope the screen is visible. It's in presentation mode and you can clearly hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for this nice introduction and thank you for having me in the panel. So from the audience, I'll just pose your question. What do you feel when you see this slide? Somebody's starting to run, right? Well, is he ready? It depends on where he runs. Say he's into an Olympic game. Do you think he's ready? Of course not, right? The way he is dressed and his pose and everything, it won't show that it's ready. Now, if I follow up from what Upaka said, Professor Upaka showed how different people showcased their readiness for a PhD, right? So I'm asking this question from you with a prompt. When talking about higher studies and research opportunities, the question is, are you ready? Okay. So ask yourself, am I ready? So how do you say, how do you check that you are ready for a PhD? So it has a lot of things to in. Why? First thing is, why do I need to do a PhD? I'm really not sure what kind of an audience we have. Some may be in your, you may be undergrads, or you may be you have already passed out. So I don't think this is has enough time for an interactive session. I'll continue with the presentation. So Doctor of Philosophy, that's what PhD stands for. And it literally means love of wisdom. And check whether, if you're planning for a PhD, whether you really love to seek wisdom, right? But the way you earn a PhD is by conducting original research and contributing new knowledge to your chosen field, right? So just think about Tim Berners-Lee, who invented this idea called World Wide Web, and maybe Shannon, who introduced this information theory, or McAfee, who introduced this Ethernet that we use day to day, right? So for sure, these are their PhD thesis actually. And if somebody do a PhD for the love of wisdom, to do original research and contribute to the knowledge in the field, your PhD will also end up like what Tim Berners-Lee or Shannon or Robert did, right? However, in reality, so there are other reasons. Somebody may want to confirm in your academic position, right? Maybe you get selected to your department in the faculty as a probationary lecturer, and within your probationary period of 8 years, you have to fulfill a PhD so that you can become senior lecturer and confirm yourself, establish yourself as a senior academic. It's not a bad idea, but underneath, you will anyway have to have some passion to do your research. And there may be like, you may want to get a promotion, you may want to have a prestige, a good profile, so that you can get better jobs, well-paid consultancies and all that, right? Or maybe very recent and most popular option, somebody wants to land in your dream foreign country. Whatever it is, make sure your reason to do a PhD is strong enough, right? So if you want to get an academic position to establish it, so you should be in love, right, with the position, and you're starving to get it. So, such a strong passion you have to have, right? So check whether you have that passion to do a PhD. As Professor Upeka also said, it is not a easy task. It's like sacrificing 3+ years, like struggling with one topic, digging into the scientific knowledge, reading through boring research papers, or night after night, and unable to figure out what to mean by certain things. Like, I mean, it's a big struggle, and by that time, your friends may be like partying and having fun and going on trips. So it's of course a sacrifice. So you have to have a very strong passion to continue with the research. Then say you have the passion. So next question is, what do I do for a PhD? The topic, right? What is my research topic? So one thing I have seen is some very targeted and well-organized students, as I am in a University of Moratuwa Computer Science and Engineering department, the top rankers are coming still, right? Also, like, I mean, one point that Professor Upeka raised was like this SLTC graduate. These days, like, a lot of offers are there for very good students to go to those campuses. And one selling point is the time that they spend in the university, and soon after their A-levels, they can simply join and continue without a lot of these delays we have in state university and educational systems. One thing is that maybe like it's not the campus itself, these students particularly, how they grow up. They are maybe certainly it may be little personal, because a lot of factors are there. It may not be just the institution. We have to dig more deep into those aspects. But if you want to succeed in higher studies and grab opportunities like those, for sure, you have to pick your research topic very well, right? And one would be to follow up your final year project. Final year project, if you're already an undergraduate, be very mindful about your final year project. Most of the time we call it capstone project. So your whole future sometimes depends on how well you do it. So you have to carefully select a research topic. And you have to enjoy that and commit very much into the final year project with a lot of vision into it. Another way would be to pick a topic that is familiar to you during the degree program, because we do a lot of other course modules and series of modules sometimes. Now, for example, in our curriculum in computer science, we have a series of course modules starting from this machine learning and data science and advanced topics along those paths. So there's a series of courses. Sometimes the students are very targeted students. They do some mini projects inside these course modules, and they continue their work until they get into accumulate into a publishable or a presentable work, right? So you can select a topic that is of that nature, not necessarily your final year project. And maybe something that you have self-studied for a long time. For example, now there was one very bright student. Actually, he was from a very rural place, but we could see the way he grew. He is a self-learner. So he has mastered like this building drones, configuring them, fine-tuning them. And finally, he did his final year project also under, so, he is labeled as like drone Malli, right? So there are things that people self-study and become masters of. So somebody can be a master of certain topic, not necessarily taught by the course or the degree program, but you have to have the necessary foundation. Now, if you are doing engineering and if you are doing computer science and engineering, for example, there are basics that you have to cover, and whatever you self-study, they should like tally each other and help each other, so you become a very like grounded person and in doing being an expert in that area. So there are other now that you have to be very familiar, right? That's why I said final year project which you invest your one whole year of time would be a good candidate, because you know in and out of that about that topic, and all the above three are of that nature. So you can explain your work to an expert in that area, right? That's where these interviewees, like Professor Upaka said, they were looking for some particular topic or particular area, and they were asking technical questions. That's how they gauged them. So if you're not familiar, or these days there is this very bad trend. Now everybody is trying to do AI, right? Let it be civil engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, or not an engineer. Everybody trying to do AI, and they claim to know this and that. And if you go by their CVs, it's full of all the technical jargons. But the moment you ask a technical question, it may not be a sophisticated one, then becomes a problem, right? You can't like relate all these topics together and explain and apply into a given scenario. So, so don't do that, right? You will have to be honest, because these experts you can't deceive. So you have to invest a lot of time reading things, doing things, and building your knowledge base. And if you have applied and done some project work, definitely you can win this milestone of explaining and convincing an expert in the field to take up your idea, right? Take your idea, because anyway, to do a PhD, you have to win a supervisor. I would say win a supervisor, because they also have their own objectives. Now, as Professor Upaka said, that particular project, they have its own outcomes, its own deliverables. So they're looking for a particular type of a person with a particular set of skills. So you have to make sure you meet them, right? That way only you can win that supervisor's attention, and they agree to supervise you and take you for the PhD position. Because during the time of your PhD, somebody has to pay you, or there should be a living, right? So it's not really practical for you to do a full-time job outside and do a full-time research. And anyway, it's not administratively possible even. So the best idea is to secure a grant, a scholarship through a grant where you do the research and you get paid for this, right? And it's a very competitive thing that you saw in the previous scenario case as well. It's 100 odd applicants screened into one. So you can understand, and it's coming all over from all over the place, all over the world, with different capabilities and evidence for their research capabilities, right? And another way is to look for the target research groups and look for the topics they have posted for their grants, right? And the supervisor, before talking to them, now even most of my colleagues, they get emails after emails by various people from all of these private campuses and even state universities. They write emails saying like, well, I have followed these courses in this particular degree program, and would you like to take me for a research? Right? It doesn't make sense. So everybody has followed these courses, right? And on and off, there are some emails coming. Okay, I have gone through this machine that detect defects in fabric, and I have done a similar project of a similar kind, and I have got these results. I think I can contribute to your project. So then, of course, we put some attention onto it, because we are also looking for good students. Right? We also have set projects. We have most of the time our senior lecturers are securing grants from time to time, and we are looking for good students. So then you should write worthy emails that matches the supervisor's interest. For that, you have to be very up to date. You have to go and read it. It has to be a habit. Not only when you want to apply, but it has to be a habit while you are doing your studies. That way you are getting up to date in the area. So when you are trying to do a PhD, you have to plan way before. I mean, even semester 2 and 3. Now, I see students, they plan their postgraduate studies and collect all these dots together, while they are just entering a department. Semester 2, semester 3. At semester 3, they select a project in an area, interesting area. Even to select that, they go on reading various websites, research groups, research papers, and then they align all their project work series of courses to make sure they grab the necessary foundation and have hands-on experience. And then such kind of planning is needed. It may be quite late if you start after finishing your final year project and graduating, because now by that time they have missed the chance of publishing their final year project work as well. Now, I think what UOP graduate has experienced is this common dilemma or the problem, right? So you have to plan ahead. Then the question is, once you have planned very well and you have the passion, the question is, can I really do it? Right? If you're sure, then prove it to the admission, right? Maybe you will have to have a first class or at least a second upper. As I saw, only one candidate was with a second upper, I guess, right? In Professor Pekka's pool. Now, the competition is too high, that most of the candidates are coming with MScs. Publications, I have highlighted in red, publications. This is very much needed, right? For that, you have to plan as well. So when I was doing my PhD, I was I was like trained by my supervisor to maintain an Excel sheet. I mean, it's a simple thing. You may have sophisticated tools, but remember what you're doing is important in this case. So to maintain a publication plan, just an Excel sheet, listing down some set of conferences, in the upcoming conferences in the area of my work. And then what is the submission date and notification date? Because for one particular manuscript, once I send to a top conference, there's a higher chance that it gets rejected. But good thing about sending out your work as a paper as early as possible is that the reviewers give very good reviews, so you can shape your research. And I got that experience because in my PhD, in earlier on, I sent out a paper to this Mobicom. That was one of the top conferences, ACM Mobicom. And it got very bad comments and said, yeah, this is not good at all. But with that very bad rejection note, there came 3 reviews. In one of these reviews, they said, okay, how do you say your work is original? I have seen this paper in this area, which is totally different from my area. Unless he told me, I will never ever hit that paper. And that paper shaped rest of my research. So send out a publication, make sure you write what you find in your project. And you can start this career, this publication career at the semester project as well. Now, recently with 2020 intake, we had semester 5 projects. I oversee this, the module called Integrated Computer Engineering Project. And one of these projects, I asked all of them. There were 12 students taking that module, and I said, okay, I'll give you 10 marks for the whole grade if you submit an extended abstract to our symposium, Engineering Research Unit, where I am the director currently. We have one event called ERU Symposium that is to stimulate and encourage our own graduates, and even we call other universities to participate and send their submissions. It is a nationally relevant event. Now that there were all 12 sent out an extended abstract, and 2 of them got selected to present as papers, posters. And out of 28 posters, 9 were shortlisted as a good work. So they were presented in an oral presentation with a viva. Mind you, this semester 5, one of these projects in semester 5, just finishing their second year, one of these projects got selected to 9 presentations where there were PhD candidates, PhD research presenters coming from other universities, very experienced old people, right? So don't underestimate your capacity and talent. Start publishing. And one thing I should share is like once I heard in one of our workshops, when I was preparing for my PhD, I also had to go. I mean, it's always good to get these opportunities. Go for workshops, seminars where you get trained as a good researcher. So there was one training I went, and when he started saying, okay, if you are planning to write your PhD thesis, don't ever touch Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word is for love letters. That's what he said, right? And we were trained on LaTeX. And mind you, it was a little hard to struggle. It was a struggle to initially get used to LaTeX, but publication was very easy because you can format. It's a programming. Some of you may already know, right? It's like a programming your document. So you don't have to manually adjust your titles, fonts, or anything. It is coded. So you can simply change the document class and you can send it to one type of a conference, and in a one line of change, you can send to another conference with a different format. So think of such tools and get started. It's again an art. So publication, that process, it is again an art. You have to make it a habit. And then to prove that you are a suitable candidate, you have to have a very rich, content-rich CV with very good projects, competitions, awards. That's how you build your profile. So how to build your impressive profile? 2 projects, not only to cover, okay, doing bits and pieces of projects from everywhere, it doesn't make nice in your CV. There should be a certain focus, right? And you can plan that as well. And FYP is a good place for you to build your profile and use after you finish your degree, there's some time for you to prepare for the application. You have to sit for IELTS, GRE, or various exams. So during that time, do some active research. That's how that candidate got more chance because they had current research. So there are opportunities in local universities. We can take these up during the discussion. So these are my points for you to think about. So in summary, so you have to have a very, so you have to decide, okay, I have the vision of earning a PhD, and you have to have a firing passion, and you have to plan it, do it. I mean, this is a lot of complex thing. You have to do it iteratively. We'll discuss it during the discussion, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sulochana, and thank you, Professor Upaka as well, both of your contribution. And please bear with us for a little more time, maybe 30-40 minutes. And once you're done with Dr. Dulip's presentation, we'll have a quick Q&A session if the audience has any questions. At the same time, I myself, as a moderator, I have a few questions lined up, and hopefully we have Upaka as well online. And now let's move to our next presenter. Is Dr. Dulip's Samratunga. As I mentioned, we all are from the same batch, so I can reiterate proudly. And Dulip is joining from United States, so on a Saturday morning from USA, and we are pleased to have him. At the same time, at the very beginning, I would like to thank you the time you can spend with your family and spending your time for a worthy cause. And thanks, Dulip, for joining with us. And in a quick note of Dulip's introduction, Dulip Samratunga is he has earned his bachelor's degree from Production Engineering Department of University of Peradeniya. Right now, it's Manufacturing and Industrial Engineering. And he's got his PhD in Mechanical Engineering from New York, United States. And upon his completion, he engaged with a lot of activities in the industry. So I have to highlight a few areas, and even he has served and he has helped to support the NASA Commercial Crew Program as well, and many of the companies he has worked together, SpaceX, Northrop Grumman, and the United Launch Alliances as well. And most importantly, he has, with his industrial exposure, together with doing his higher studies as a researcher, he has published over 20 external publications in leading scientific journals and conferences proceeding to date. And as I mentioned, he's a proud father of 3 children and enjoys spending time with the family, hiking and traveling. Ladies and gentlemen, our third and the final presenter today, Dr. Dulip. Dr. Dulip, the screen is yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Nalin. And it's a pleasure to be here and talking to latest group from University of Peradeniya. So I think there were couple of presentations before me, so what I wanted to add to the conversation is probably would be, I think this was well thought out by the moderator, Nalin. So to add the industrial perspective to what the life can be after PhD. So I think the previous presenters, they gave you a good outline of what you can expect in the academia, and I can give you a perspective of so how it can be in the industry. So just to give you a brief introduction, I currently work for Aerospace Corporation here in Los Angeles, California. So Aerospace Corporation is a federally funded research and development center for the United States federal government, specifically for national security space program. So what it means is we support all the launch activities, including development, qualification, and certification of spacecrafts, launch vehicles, and then assist the customer, in this case, a customer from US government, or it could be NASA or other civilian or commercial customers. So we get engaged with all these parties to help them out to ensure mission success. So to do that, the company overall, it's a company, it's a mid-sized company of about close to 4,000 people, and there are about 800 PhDs. So the reason why I mentioned the number is just to give you an idea about the scale of how many PhDs are working in a typical place like ours. So I know there are many other places like that, and there are a lot of PhDs work in the industry because the reason is so what I wanted to highlight is there are there is this at least in my case, when I was in Sri Lanka, when I looked at someone with a PhD, it used to be always a lecturer or professor or someone in the academia. And when I kept moving on along these paths, I realized that there are more opportunities than being in the academia, and that's the reason why I wanted to bring that up. So like I mentioned, so I'm with the engineering and technology group here at the Aerospace Corporation, and the group I am in, it's about 50% of the whole organization in terms of head count. And here's another fun fact about conducting research in industry. Since in industrial research are usually well funded, and in the same time you get a lot more facilities and equipment. I kind of compare this with my graduate studies. When I did graduate studies, we always had to prioritize things and then go for whether we want to buy this equipment or that equipment. So there was that. But when it comes to places like research places in the industry, usually these things get easier. It's not, it doesn't get easy. Money is always something hard to come by, but it's relatively easier. So so my specific work includes I'm with the team that works on non-destructive evaluation, which is probably not many of you have heard about it. So I don't expect to, because it's such a narrowed area. But again, it needs some deep technical expertise. In ND, if I were to give you some outline for this spacecraft or rocket structures, it's super critical to inspect them prior to qualification for flight, because even a tiny crack or some void in the material can lead to stress concentrations and then lead to failure. So things like that. So in my particular, in the group where I am, so we are specialized in inspecting for those structural off-nominal features. That's what we call it, using different techniques, whether it's ultrasound or radiography, eddy current, or thermography, and there are many physical phenomena we use to get to what we want to do, get to the place we want to get. So I think the key point I wanted to highlight is the PhD background that you work on. It can get you to the places like this, and then with the experience you learn how to apply those, because one of the key things with the industrial research is that in the end of the day, we have to make it work, because every time when someone come to us with a problem, its a problem is very well defined. So it's up to us to define how to get there. So basically, someone would come back and come and say, okay, we had a situation, we were prepping our launch vehicle for launch in a month or two, and some incident happened, and we are not sure if some technician dropped the tool on the rocket, and we want to know if that damaged the structure, because some of you may have heard there are different advanced materials used in aircrafts and in structures like aircraft and rockets, obviously. Advanced carbon fiber composites, and there are different kinds of metals to stand different environments. If it is a rocket engine, the temperatures you can easily expect to go several thousands of Celsius, and then the structure in the thrust chamber should be able to hold that temperature and also the stressors. So in extreme environment, and in the same time, if you look at the other end of the rocket, it has to during the launch, it has to withstand all the aerodynamic loading and aerodynamic heating and so on. So you use different kinds of material for all these different areas. That includes advanced carbon fiber composite and Kevlar and different kinds of metals. So when a situation like I mentioned before happened, you need to be able to have a solution. Otherwise, what happens is the launch would get delayed, or it can delay significantly, which is not preferred by any of the people involved, because it could be that when a launch is delayed, the cost of that delay could be several millions of dollars a day. So because of that reason, that's why you have PhDs and then work on these problems continuously, and then when things like that come up, so we can attend to them. So I think so with that, I will also share you a link to our lab, which is so you can take a virtual tour shortly after this presentation. So you can take a tour on your own, just to give you an idea. So I think I will switch back a little bit about what is a PhD life look like here in the United States? Because I saw there were the speakers before me, they gave you a lot of information from different perspectives. But I think there are some things I can add to you from my PhD life experience here in the US as well. So I think one of the key things when it comes to PhD for someone from Sri Lanka would one of the main questions I get asked is what are the funding opportunities? So that's probably the number one question most of the people have in mind, those who are considering graduate studies. So I would say here in the United States, there are a lot of funding opportunities for graduate studies, especially if one is willing to continue for a PhD. And there are opportunities for masters, but that's limited, and it's with PhD you get a higher probability or higher potential for such opportunities. And and then pretty standard stuff. The enrollment is a fall semester, and then you can enroll in spring semester too. Fall semester would be August, September timeframe, and spring semester is January. But vast majority enrollment do happen in fall, probably over 90%. So the application for international student wraps up pretty early, probably many months before, latest by around September or April of that year. So the application deadline could easily could go back to the fall of the prior year. So that's the kind of time scale you are looking at. And so one of the key differences is even though there are many opportunities, there are some exams or tests that one need to take in order to apply. Some of you may be familiar with it, and those who don't know, there are graduate record examination, or GRE in short, and TOEFL, test of English language. So you have to. There are some minimums. There is some minimum score for TOEFL, and then GRE. It's better you can score, the better your profile would be. But so another thing I wanted to mention was here the university system is not familiar with the classes. I know we in Sri Lanka, we follow the British system, and we have first and second classes. So this is from my own experience when I applied for graduate school, and when I met with, once everything is done, when I met with the professor, he mentioned about, okay, you have second class. So there are no second classes here. Everyone is first class. So that's the feedback I got. So the idea is being there are no classes. It's whatever GPA you have, that's your grade would be, and then everything else comes down to the rest of the profile, whether it's GRE or TOEFL scores, and then a big part of the application would be statement of purpose, and which is those who don't know, basically you would write why you are interested in graduate studies and what skills you bring in, and why you want this opportunity. So that's the place to write down that information. So the application is considered as a whole. It's not just one particular area. I have seen people from different GPAs, like probably like below 3.5 to almost not almost 4.0 GPAs, and it doesn't matter. It's the overall application. Application is what determines the outcome of in a graduate school application. So so I think when it comes to selecting a school, I think from my, again, this is from my personal experience, what there are a lot of schools, probably hundreds or thousands of graduate schools, probably hundreds of graduate schools here in the States, and usually many of them have PhD opportunities, and a best place to look for who might have opportunities versus who may not, to go look at schools' websites, and then look at individual professors. Those who, professors who are active in research, they are the ones tend to hire students into their groups. And sometimes they would list for the upcoming intake, we have opportunity, and they will give you information. And some other times they may not list it because the funding might be still up in the air, and it may the announcement may come in later than intended. So in that case, it doesn't hurt to write to those professors and ask politely, what is I'm interested in your research, and what are the opportunities you have, things like that. You can ask them, and if you have and when you do that, make sure to attach your CV or resume, or any research reports. And if you have done something similar, any project or research papers, if you have research papers, that's even better. You can attach them and then write to them. And sometimes, so they may not respond right away. Some of them they do, some others they don't. And if you like a research program from one particular group and you haven't heard from them, and in that case, it doesn't hurt to follow up with them again, probably in a few weeks' time, because one thing I wanted to mention was it's convenient to communicate in email, but when you so these professors, they get a lot of emails like that, and sometimes it may get overlooked in the first round. And when you follow up, you have a higher chance of getting attention and getting a response, and so on. So I think in the same time, since some of you are still with the university, I also wanted to highlight the importance of using the resources you have. Specifically, like I think this was mentioned a couple of times by Upaka and Sulochana too. Being able to present and communication skills. So that's very important, and I would say that's matter a lot, even in the industry. Even when you have a good technical background with a solid track record, still if you can't communicate and if you can't present it, then you go, you get less attention, and it can affect your whether it can matter whether you get the opportunity or how far you can go. So in that end, I think the university already has some resources to address to this end, specifically places like Toastmasters Club. That's a good resource that you can use. And so while being in the university, if you can get around these clubs and then practice communication and things like that, that can go a long way down the road. And also, for that matter, I would say any club, whether it's Outdoor Explorers Club or any club that you get to hang out with people from different faculties, backgrounds, things like that, that can influence the way you communicate with others. So I wanted to mention that too. So I think with that, I can wrap up because I think if you have any specific questions, you can then we can go into that session, and then we can start talking. Thank you, Nalin. And thank you, you all as well.
Thanks. Thank you, Dilip. Thanks a lot. And yeah, we have the panel, Professor Upakar, Dr. Sulochana as well. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any question, you can raise your hand through reaction button of Zoom. It doesn't matter whether it's if you have to speak in Sinhala or it's still fine. And if you have any discussion, because at the beginning of the discussion, I still could remember that when Professor Upakar comes on screen, and then these few final year students greeted us as Aya. So the key objectives are to bridge the industry, the academia, the professionals with the university. So this could be a supporting role as you can say industry mentoring kind of, or academic mentoring or experience sharing by these senior Ayas and Akkas to this younger generation, because we have seen some areas where we can give our inputs. So if you have any thing to discuss, you can raise your question or opinion or clarification. Meantime, Dilip has shared his link for the laboratory, I guess, yeah, aerospace. And yeah, I will put into our WhatsApp groups as well. And thanks, Dilip. Thanks for the link. Can we have Dr. Sulochana as well on screen? And yeah, it's about 10 minutes to 10. So I think it's time to for us to go for sleep. So if they don't have a question, I've written down a few questions. In fact, 3 questions for 3 panelists. Also, I can simply direct to a person, and at the same time, the other panelists also can put their inputs. And those are few of the discussion points which we had within our batchmates and our friends. Dr. Sulochana, are you available here? Okay. First question, may I ask from Professor Upakar?
Hold on, Nalin. I think there's a direct message from Viranjini, and now she was asking about can I know about the masters by research opportunities, please? Okay, I can give you one very good example for that. We recently, it was 2 months ago, we hired one student from University of Moratuwa, Faculty of Engineering. He basically hired for a Master of Research one, which is funded, and when he's still not in Ireland, he's in Sri Lanka. He's still working from Sri Lanka until he get his visa done and so on. Because these days there is a slight delay on visa. So at the same time, he told me that he would like to continue it to PhD. So we talked it with the university, since we have enough funding, and that was our initial idea. to extend that MSc research opportunity to the PhD. So that's the usual pattern here in Ireland and the United Kingdom. You know, you are not given a direct PhD opportunity. Rather, in the UK, you are going from MPhil, then you are assessed at around a couple of years time, and if you are satisfying the qualification for a PhD, then you can move on. If not, the university will strictly ask, okay, guy, you do well, but you are not enough for a PhD, stop away. So that has happened to a couple of my friends when I was there to my PhD. In the Ireland, it's the same practice. You are not given direct PhD opportunities, even though you have a, like as Dulip said, 4 out of 4 in GPA. You are not given that opportunity. You are first given the master's. Then inside the master's, you can upgrade it to a PhD. So the overall time would be 3.5 years for master's, then to PhD. So the overall time would be 3.5 years. Virangini, hope I answered your question.
And I think, Upaka, I can add to that as well. Here in the States is the same situation. So even though some students, they get they are asked to they say they get enrolled in graduate school with the promise for continuing for a PhD, but so it's still they are required to follow masters and then complete that, and then go through the same PhD qualifying process and become a PhD student. So I can confirm you that.
Sulochana, you have anything to add? Because she also followed pretty much the similar path. That she had MPhil in between as well. So can you just add something?
Yeah, actually, I did my PhD in University of Morato itself. I initially registered for an MPhil, and only after 2 years of work, we get evaluated, and based on the progress, I could convert it to a PhD, which I had to convert it to apply for this Commonwealth split site PhD. Because I got an offer from University of Surrey for 1 year of research. During that time, the thing was that there are some such schemes actually. There's a question in the chat, I guess.
Yeah, is there any age limit for the PhD? I think the simple answer should be no. Yeah.
No, yes. You don't have any age limit actually. But only thing is, more time you spend after the graduation, more things the expected. So many publications, more your profile has to build up over the time. That's the only issue. But with the industry experience and everything, if you can fill it up, that's fine.
Right.
So what I was saying is, usually you can register as unclassified. Even you don't have to specify as a MPhil or any other. You go as an unclassified researcher, and later with the progress, we can get converted. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. And then from Upaka's presentation, I found that some students, I use the word that rejected because they were not following the required courses, the subjects. So what I felt for a moment, that maybe looking at the University of Peradeniya, maybe the Sri Lankan context itself. So we are having fundamental educational syllabuses, which I think it will take a lot of time to revise or change with the requirements of the industries. And when it comes to PhD opportunities or the research opportunities, then we have to think of the new knowledge. So how you bridge those requirements, and I can use the word conventional educational syllabuses with the latest industrial researches. So when you pick the students, is there any feedback method to academias to not to change the content of the syllabus, at least to upgrade So how it happens in your universities in European region, and you have experience in Japan as well, and also looking at the US context. So I think the Sri Lankans can benefit out of it.
Oh yeah. Nalin, I like the word which Sulochana used. Like, when I talk about these universities, I was not, not promoting or insulting any university. I was just taking a candidate, and it's not the university; it's the candidate itself. So what we have here is the which Sulochana mentioned, the mini projects in the modules itself. It is extremely important. Here I'm teaching a couple of modules per semester. All of these modules have a mini project. So you are working in those projects. Now, it's not taking notes in the lectures. It's rather minimum here. So you have to learn it by yourself from the mini projects, and we are supporting. So for a particular module which I'm teaching, I have 2 hours of lectures. Yes, I'm spending, even though it says 2 hours, I'm spending them with 1.5 hours. That's the literal case. But on top of that, I have another 2 hours for them for project. Now, this is just a second year module, okay? So these students, they bring their own problems and they try to solve these things. They learn from them. Now, the important thing is, one of the important things which we probably don't have in the Sri Lankan context, which I have experienced, because I'm supervising a couple of students from University of Peradeniya Faculty of Engineering for their bachelors. So the teamwork and the individual components, identifying those two inside a particular project is not there in Sri Lanka. That's for sure. No, this is a comment. See, you're working as a team. At the same time, you need to perform yourself individually as well. So this is really missing in the context. So you're not learning, you're not self-learning with the things. And that's one of the missing points which I see from the students the students who come from Bangladesh. Bangladesh students have a different way of educating themselves, and they have changed their education system drastically over the last 10 years.
Thank you, Upak. And I also like to hear from Dulip and Sulochana as well. And before that, just to add something, because the complaint from the students, the majority of the students, maybe we were not taught those areas, because I have a lot of industrial experiences. When they come to industry and say that, no, they were not in our syllabuses. We were not taught those things. So from there onwards, I think Dulip, together with the comment from Upaka, Dulip and Sulochana, something?
Do you want to go first, Upaka, or do you want me to get started?
Yeah.
A lot of things to say about it.
Yeah, in very brief manner.
So I think, okay, let me, jump on it. And, just to respond to one of the previous questions, age limit for a PhD. When I was still in my master's program, I had someone in our group. He was 40 plus years old, and he never told us the age, and he's from Sudan, and he was there with his whole family, and he had children like probably 16 or 18 years old at the time. So that kind of gives you an idea, like, when it comes to the topic of age, because especially especially in Western countries, some people, they go finish bachelor's after they retire from their work because they really wanted to do it. So things like that. So the point is, it's it's your will, it's free will. Nobody's going to tell you do this or don't do that. So that's, I think, that's we put in Sri Lanka, we have a lot of emphasis on that, saying no to a lot of things and limiting ourselves. But So that's there. And Nalin, I'm afraid, could you remind me the question again? I think I got a little distracted.
No, that's fine, because the main thing is people would say that we were not taught those areas. Like, for example, in your case, you are now an aerospace scientist and you did your production engineering. So you can simply say that you're okay, because there was another question in the chat box. If you see, how can I find the opportunities to learn and get experience in doing research? So I think you can amalgamate both the questions.
Yeah, I can tie both questions and respond. So research opportunities, I would say go talk to your professors or senior lecturers or lecturers who are active in, say, in my case, when I was in Pera, I was doing production engineering, and some people, like you see things in a production lab or a machine shop. There are things, if whatever you see around in the labs, if it catches your attention, find out who is responsible for that particular area and go talk to them. And I would tell you, even in Sri Lanka, even though there is no, this might be different. I'm basing on my own experience 20 plus years ago, 20 years ago. And there was no much emphasis to research aspect of it, or to do, to work with professors or lecturers. But even then, everybody likes free work. So, so from that perspective, when you go talk to someone, I'm sure they will at least tell you, okay, go. This is where to find what you are looking for, or in best case, like, okay, I have an interesting project going on. Why don't you come over and get some hands-on with it, something like that. So I think there is no one way or the other. It's just find something you like, and go talk to them and get involved. And what matters is, actually, this was emphasized before too. And then what it comes down to is your attitude, whether you are really committed to it, and then how you follow up with it. Because depending on how you contribute, you can end up with some, in a presentation, conference publication, or sometimes a journal publication, because it comes down to how hard you are willing to work and how much effort you are putting in. And then it translates into all these things that you can show, whether it's a publication or making a presentation or giving a speech. It all comes with it. So I would say just go talk to the lecturers, professors, and maybe senior people, senior students. So that would be my response.
Yeah. Can I add something?
Yeah, and
Would
also
you mind?
Solution, and having this answer, I would like to have another one together with, because you mentioned within your presentation good students. How you pick good students for your researchers or other activities, especially from maybe second year, third year, or the final years? How you find these good students? Together with that response, please add. May not be the best GPA students, but the students with how you see that, including the word, I think Upaka would love to have that word attitude. So attitude students would be the key word with your answer, please.
Yeah, actually, what Upeka explained very nicely, how we do is we get their CVs first, and the way they have organized their CV itself starts like screening. How they have used their space in the paper, what content there is, how well they have written it. The screening starts there. And then once we shortlist CVs, we then get a panel of experts for the proper, as Upeka said, like he even gave the composition of the panel. So we get a panel of experts to evaluate these people in an interview. So from the body language, from the attitude comes with the questions, what their approach is to the question. Now, as you remember, like someone was worrying about money very much, and so someone had very, too much overestimation. So these things get out when somebody goes on answering question after question. The panelists when asked, so the natural behavior comes up after a while, although like they start acting for a while. So that's how we get into them into the trap actually. So one experience, may I explain? I mean, I have one slide. Would you mind sharing that about the opportunities?
Yes, please go on.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so someone asked like how to learn how to do research, right? How to get the experience. As I learned, your BSc is teaching you how to learn, and your master's is making you learn how to do research. And your PhD, you are actually doing a research and get a license to do research. I mean, that's how I have learned. I don't know what your opinion would be. So, of course, you will have to do at least a master to say that you are qualified to do research. But if you have a decent publication, maybe you can replace or something, tally at a master's level, right? So the opportunities in local universities, even if you go to your own department and check their website, there are various research groups. So let me, so if you, I'll copy this to the chat in our department. There are multiple research groups. Some intelligence lab is my lab. And let me tell you how one of these students came to my lab as a trainee. So we have this SLIoT challenge. In collaboration with one of the major telecom provider and IESL, Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka, we hold this island-wide competition for undergraduates and school children. So one of these competitors in the IoT challenge, he when I was introduced, okay, I have a lab and I do so and so in one of the speeches, they came to, I mean, that guy came to me and asked, okay, what opportunities do you have? I have internship in line. So can I join your lab? I would like to do these things. So then we said, okay, I said, I don't have any funding at the moment for training. But if you don't need any funding, you can simply join and see. And then, mind you, he's also from SLTC. I don't know whether we are promoting SLTC, right? But it's nothing to do with the universities.
Yeah.
It's individual. So he joined, and now he's starting MSc. Something we see as an attitude is perseverance. Like you keep on trying, and you just don't give up in one or two judgments. So we had ups and downs during the internship. Sometimes we didn't have the equipment. It's Sri Lanka is a little difficult with resources sometimes, but his attitude was good enough. So he very well joined the team. Now, in a research group, research lab, there are so many people, like there are interns, research assistants, technical assistants, and engineers. So everybody, they have to talk to each other. So this is where all your childhood, whatever the all-round talents come in. If you have done any extracurricular things like music, sports, those talents, those skills come into play when you interact with people. So getting experience, first of all, you have to join relevant forums, go to research talks, go to competitions, workshops. So you have to outreach, like get involved. Then only you meet people, you can network, and then only you get into a habit. At least even if you don't go and talk to your lecturers and see, so some of them they have even university links. I know someone in civil engineering. He's doing a split side PhD because the university has, our civil engineering department has some collaboration with RMIT Australia. So he's doing part here, and soon he's flying there. So there is a screening process, because the university to university, there are memorandum of understanding, some agreement, not really as legal as an agreement, but some legal document is signed between universities to select students directly from that university to send to the other university. And they also come to University of Moratuwa. There are specific labs collaboratively set up. So there are such things. And also there are university industry. For example, in Intelligence Lab, we have a project where we collaborate with one startup in robotics and another major government industrial institution. So there are industrial links. We have MOUs. We have so we can send them into the industry places and talk to and see their processes. But there are some legal things involved. You have to sign non-disclosure, NDAs and things like that. So go to lecturers, because they are part of various research groups. Some are collaborating with foreign universities. When people come with PhD from foreign universities, they come with certain links also. So, so these are some ways you can get into the habit of doing research, but try to start early. Make your semester project. And now I see sometimes, like when we were students, people do assignments, projects for the sake of doing things, right? And they just wanted to get the grade and submit something at the last minute. No, it's not the way. Like, that's the attitude issue. Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sulochana. And as we are at the latter part of the session, so shall we go for the conclusion? So each panelist, you can take about 2 to 3 minutes as a conclusion. And shall I start with Dulip? Is it okay, Dulip?
Nalin, could you repeat what you're saying? I got distracted a little bit.
Heading to the conclusion, so you can add your conclusive message, number one. And with that, to start with, I will give you a question as well, because we'll take about 3 minutes each from all the panelists, so that we can conclude the session, and we can have our further discussions if required, maybe in the next session. So especially as you are into the industry, and Sulochana used the word NDA, non-disclosive agreement, and especially places where you work for, sometimes with NASA and other institutions. So I think the integrity or work ethics would be very important. So I would rather have if you can just add 2-3 minutes from, especially to give this guidance to the new or the younger generation of how would be your post PhD activities. You have shared some experience at the same time, the respect, so the integrity which you have to work with, and I think that will be helpful for the students to share with you some of your knowledge or some of your opinions. Then you can conclude the session as well.
So I think it's so definitely so when we talk about workplace integrity, and it's a okay, so I guess so let me it's too bad that I can't talk about a lot of things, or I can't tie directly to my work, because it's the nature of the thing, and
Dilip, Dilip, sorry to disturb that. If I'm to tell you in a very simple manner, say for example, we used to share all these documents, videos, photographs, because now in this social media or the other contexts, so we are used to share everything what we do. I'm sure that the responsibility after you got your PhD and you engage with the company which is responsible for sometimes even the national security of the United States or the world. So I think something related to attitudes, because I've seen even because in our part of the world, especially in Sri Lanka, we can share those maybe British standard documents, we share it in a PDF format together with everybody because maybe the lack of resources. But when it comes to, again, the integrity of your, maybe I'm fond of sharing some aerospace documents with my friends. I can simply put into social media and Facebook, say, oh, interested in this flight, these destructive tests, I'm doing it. So I think there are certain limitations. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for clarification. It's certainly. In our case, as you may have noticed already, it's severely restricted. We can't, for example, to give you the nature given where we are, we can't even summarize, we can even gather information that are there in the public domain, like say internet or on websites and other publicly available information. We can't even gather them, summarize together, and then present it to someone, because the idea is that the moment you put that together, there is a story, right? So that story is coming from who you are. And I can tell you, you may have assumed the system, they have already figured it out and then addressed at the right place. So I think it's not to say your work is restricted or anything. When it comes to work, you have a lot of freedom, and especially when you want to talk to the up in the chain or people around you, it's a free environment. But again, when it comes to sharing work, it's in my case, it's severely restricted. And also, I know there are other companies, they follow similar practices, even when it comes to commercial companies, because they have commercial interest, and it's they would control dissemination of those information freely. That could come in as a Facebook posting or a Twitter posting or whatever. It's something we have to be very it's something one has to be aware of considerably, I would say.
Okay, thank you, Dilip. And let's move to the next, because we are heading to the conclusion. So, Upaka, can you make your conclusive message for the students? Because if I'm to give you a small intro on your conclusion, because for the time being, we had in our times we had University of Peradeniya, University of Moroto, and University of Ruhuna, and there are a lot of state universities popped up. At the same time, the private sector universities popped up. At the same time, we have a lot of challenges from, you mentioned something about the Bangladesh and India and the rest of the region also. And on the other hand, maybe the opportunities or the budgets for PhDs and masters have been reduced. So the competition has been highly increased, I would say. So with your conclusive message, can you just add something for our students and the hopeful higher studying students, how they will face those challenges and how they will face it effectively?
Yeah, Nalin. Now, by looking at that one, the competition is really high. I would say that is from Bangladesh, in the region, number one is Bangladesh, because they are bachelors. They can't get a bachelor without a paper written. That's in the condition now. Every bachelor's student has to write a research paper from his or her final year research work and publish it. Then only they can graduate it. So that competition is there, and that is the same in China as well. So you're talking about two countries with a lot of people like graduate students and so on. Now that is the competition. But at the same time, Nalin, I would say the research funding has been increased. I'm happily saying that. So my research budget is significantly increased. My university is going to recruit 60 PhD students within another 3 months. Fully funded 60. But the thing is, the competition is really high, and I felt that, frankly, I'm trying to get some students from Sri Lanka. That is my idea, and which I'm at the moment. I'm having 3 to 4 PhD students. They are all from Sri Lanka, and so on. But the thing is, the attitudes has to be there for this. Now, I found that is the trickiest thing. We might be very solid in technical, but the attitudes are not the best. Like, I don't want to say this one. Nalin, you probably know, I talked with you regarding this one. Several students were working with me, but then I asked you to help me, and 3 students came to me from University of Peradeniya, and they're not even emailing me now. So those are sometimes commercial projects which, but at the same time, people from other countries, they have different work. So that has to be changed, I think. What Sulochana said about the assignments and so on, and even the integrity which Dulip mentioned. Here in my university, you can't submit a single assignment without going in Turnitin. It has to be go through Turnitin. If it is greater than 20% in the scores in Turnitin, it is rejected. 0 marks. That's how they look at it. But students have to bring they are very good. I totally agree that people, the students from Sri Lanka are really good, extremely good, but they have to bring the soft skills which they showcase to the world. That is needed, and when they showcase it, they'll be hired. It's like a chain. They'll be hired one after another.
Thank you, Upakar. Thanks a lot. And Sulochana, can you make some conclusive messages to younger students and those who are willing to do their higher studies, maybe in Sri Lanka, or a split kind of a PhD or go abroad? So what's your final message?
Actually, the students themselves can fill up some of these gaps. For example, in Moratuwa, I have seen these student clubs. They have these technically oriented students clubs like IEEE student chapter, ACM student, IEEE branch, and ACM student chapter. So they organize these tech talks and have workshops, things like that, to orient the students for this international arena. And then, of course, in the university, it depends actually on the visionary people that lead these various programs. Now, if you have some tough people to take tough decisions, as you said, like if you have rules and you abide by them, you can implement the quality. In our final year projects in University of Moratuwa, they have to submit a paper. So most of them now will go out with a paper, actually. At least they submit in our own conference, Mercon. Although it's our own conference, it is also very competitive. It's international and is a top ranked one at the moment, hosted in Sri Lanka. So they are supposed to do that. And the GSOC, IEEE Extreme, like I'm talking in my arena. I mean, my discipline is computer science and engineering. So those are international competitions that everybody knows. So if the students themselves individually, they do it. Like it doesn't need to be guided by the degree. But since the fundamentals are covered, they can do it. But the students, they help each other. They have workshops to prepare them for competition. So
Okay,
the students have the leadership.
Yeah, thanks. And Julian or the Rajesh, there were some questions from hand raise, and we can take 2 minutes each. You can unmute. Can you unmute, or possibly can you help them to unmute? Because those who have raised their hands. Yeah, Rajesh or Julian. Yeah. Please ask your question.
ومن تحزب معهم على المسلمين.
Sorry, I think we couldn't hear you properly. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, we'll move to the conclusion, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. And especially, I would like to highlight the fact that even Sulochana said that there are some discussions and workshops arranged by individual people. And also, we have seen this MPlus project or MPlus program itself is one of a kind of a project which we have organized. At the same time, we have to understand the fact that as Sri Lankans now, we are running out of many resources, but maybe University of Moratuwa, Peradeniya, and Ruhuna might have their individual domestic programs, but the others don't have the access for those programs. So, but within this MPlus program, for example, this discussion itself, we put into the YouTube archive, and anybody can watch it at any time. So we are trying to share our knowledge globally at the same time, because the newer generation, what I have seen, is quite time-oriented, and they would not be sitting for 2 hours session in front of a laptop. Instead, once it is being archived, put into the YouTube, then they will watch at their free time, or maybe in 30 minutes interval. So we'll put those things and discussions. At the same time, we have proposed to University of Peradeniya as well, if individual departments have their own workshops, try to put them in an archive folder, put into a sort of accessible paths to other students as well. Because civil engineering department would have maybe conducted a brilliant session, which had only maybe 100 students participated, but the rest of the students can get something, not about this technicality, but as you well mentioned about these attitudes, the soft skills, your presentation skills are very important when it comes to the moving forward. So MPlus is part of that project with those initiatives, and we can improve by step with all your inputs and your contribution. With that remark, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for staying with us, and special thanks to our panelists, because if you have gone through about the panelists, the context of panelists, Upaka representing the European region, and Dulip is from Northern American region, and Sulochana is from Sri Lanka and from University of Moratuwa as well. So we tried our best to give you the best resource people at the same time with the diversification. And also, if you have seen that Upaka is from civil engineering discipline, and Dulip is from production engineering or the manufacturing engineering discipline, and Sulochana from the computer discipline. So we tried our best to give you the best panelists. At the same time, you can raise your questions or clarifications, and we are here to support at the same time. We are not the academias who will teach you everything. I think nowadays the concept has been changed. The academias are your learning partners. They will not be your teachers anymore. So let's work together, especially in these tough times for not only Sri Lanka, but for the whole world. So let's work together and contribute together and helping each other, building our networks strongly. Yes, that's it from us. And I'm signing off. Narines Disillo, the head of MPlus project team, and have a pleasant evening and good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good night then.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, right. Shall we stop this live stream also?